Hello again to another Dragon Color React Date Night with Eric.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Cheap date.
Stop saying that on my videos, they're not cheap.
Sorry.
Anyway, we'll be watching Fried Chicken Wars, the fall of KFC in America from Modern MBA. I've never seen that one. I don't think I ever watched anything
The
from
fall of
that channel.
KFC. The fall. I just thought they were so strong.
This is America though.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's just start. And see what's going on in America, in KFC with America.
I like KFC.
Oh.
Good stuff.
Fried chicken. To some, it's a comfort food that evokes precious childhood memories, and to others, it's a timeless representation of American culture. As I've gotten older, I've given up many junk foods, but fried chicken is one guilty pleasure I just can't let go. There's something magical about it, the contrasting textures, the combination of juicy chicken with crispy breading, along with its
No, I
spice,
think it's the
salt,
fact you
and
can't
fat that make for such
redo
a
it yourself in
satisfying
the same
meal
way.
any time
Yeah,
of the
shake
year.
and bake.
Fried chicken is loved around the world,
Okay,
and
which
these
is
days
not
there
as
are more
KFC. Yeah,
varieties
exactly,
than ever
my point.
before. There's
You can make
classic
better
Southern
burgers than
bone-in buttermilk
McDonald's.
fried chicken,
You can't really make this that
puff-style
good
buffalo wings
without
that are
actually
slathered
putting
in
a
hot
lot of work
sauce,
into it.
diner chicken and waffles drenched in maple syrup, boneless Japanese karaage coated in potato
I've had
starch,
chicken and waffles before.
citrus marinated fried chicken
Gotta
from
try
Latin
that.
America, Nashville hot chicken that's served with pickles, Taiwanese popcorn chicken doused in 5-spice, and my personal favorite, the sticky, sweet, ultra crunchy Korean fried chicken. Beyond flavors and textures, fried chicken comes in many forms like tenders, nuggets, bone-in, wings, wraps, and sandwiches. Kentucky Fried Chicken was once widely considered to be the golden standard, the best fried chicken one could get. While I grew up on KFC and its family buckets and biscuits, KFC these days is far from the golden standard that it once was. It's nothing like the KFC from my childhood. The mashed potatoes taste like glue, the chicken is greasy, it's dry, it's expensive, and even when it's served at its best, KFC doesn't come close to the quality of other establishments like Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, Jollibee, Raising Cane's, and more. There are a variety of places nowadays to get your fried chicken fix, and Kentucky Fried Chicken is an afterthought. As fried chicken has evolved, consumer tastes have also changed.
That's good too. I enjoy that one.
Nowadays, I prefer to pay more for less.
I mean, except KFC, I haven't been in any of those that you mentioned there. Except
and
for
more
in the
elite,
churches
like
once.
soy garlic
I
or
haven't.
honey glazed
It's okay.
Korean fried chicken.
Too.
KFC has dominated
Brag
fried
about.
chicken around the world with legacy and scale.
I haven't
but
been
its
there.
relevance and
Raising
popularity in
Cane's.
America has been declining
Ted
for
talks
years.
about that one. And Chick-fil-A.
As the kernel has weakened,
Never
longtime
had that
rivals in
Ted
Popeyes and
likes it.
Chick-fil-A have all laid claims to the chicken throne. Even the world's second largest investment bank, Goldman Sachs, sees this rare opportunity to upset the established order and take a piece of a booming multi-billion-dollar food category that's growing faster than burgers and fries. In 2020, Goldman Sachs acquired Zaxby's for $2 billion with the ambitions of taking the southern chain nationwide and soon international. On the other side of the world, the eastern siege has begun. Jollibee and Kyochon, who have both dominated East Asia for decades, have now shifted their focus to the West.
I gotta
eager
try
to carve
Jollibee
out a
again.
slice of the
That
Colonel's
really
market
looks
share for
tasty.
themselves. The popular narrative
Yeah, I
amongst
don't think it's
Americans
in
is
Europe,
that
though,
KFC's
so-
drop in quality over the years
So in
is the
California.
result of ruthless cost-cutting measures
Walked in the
from
restaurant once, saw
out-of-touch
the menu, walked
executives
out.
looking to juice
Didn't even
earnings
try
per
the
share,
food.
and who
Well,
wouldn't
just
know
like
fried
with me and
chicken
In and
if it hit
Out.
them in the face.
Huh?
Just like with
When
me
you
and
look
my
at
mom and
KFC in
In-N-Out.
America, it's outdated,
Just
the environment
it's
is
dark.
cheap and uncreative,
Yeah, clean.
with a really boring menu. But when
Menu
you look
look
at
kinda
KFC
horrible.
around the world, in South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, KFC is a star brand that's known for its quality chicken, great service, and unique offerings. So how is it that the same company can be
What's that?
so great internationally and so poor in its...
This is what he just says. It's the fall in America.
Oh yeah, KFC in Poland was freaking awesome.
That's what I mean. Like you keep
Oh
saying,
my
I'm
gosh.
talking about it. Like
like
I
a
haven't
gold
had it.
sauce.
Even the one in Germany, the one in Germany was nice too when I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller
So,
portions, but yeah. Poland's better.
home market. In this episode, we'll cover the fried chicken wars, the strategy and missteps that have brought KFC in America to
Fries
where it is
balls?
today, and how legacy and brand power can be just as much as a curse as it is a blessing in the world of business. Chicken is the world's most popular protein. As chicken consumption per capita continues to break records, and coming fresh off the chicken sandwich mania, companies and investors believe that there's still room for growth. 2 decades ago, people would have told you that a Quarter Pounder and a Whopper would be the best burger that you could get. Fast forward today and you have Five Guys and Shake Shack who have both elevated the lowly burger from a cheap bite into a high-end premium, with each of these new brands grossing nearly $1 billion in sales every year. While Shake Shack and Five Guys are not at the scale of the Golden Arches, having two thriving billion-dollar businesses is still a significant milestone in a mature market that many historically believed had no room for competition. The evolution of burgers and the success of new entrants is a parallel that feeds the ambitions of restaurateurs and fast food companies who both believe that the same developments will play out with fried chicken. Restaurants are a notoriously hard business. In a typical full-service restaurant, food costs are roughly 30 to 35% of sales, labor costs are 30 to 40%, and overhead, which is rent and advertising and utilities, clocks in at about 20 to 30%. With such heavy cost structures, it's no surprise that the average restaurant profit margin hovers at 3 to 5%. Like all restaurants, fried chicken shops face the universal challenges of saturation and acquisition, but modern fried chicken shops have some natural operational advantages compared to most restaurants with lower labor costs, food costs, and overhead. Fried chicken is a takeout business, so consumers are looking to grab and go with no expectations of ambiance. As a result, fried chicken shops have gotten smaller and more bare bones over the years, with floor plans that have little to no dine-in areas for consumers. In contrast, dining space is critical for almost every other type of restaurant, as their business is a function of how many customers they can seat and how fast they can turn over tables. Modern fried chicken shops can get away with a few tables, or sometimes nothing at all, just a counter for people to order, pick up, and leave. As a place for people to stop at but not stay at, fried chicken businesses can save on overhead, fit into smaller spaces for cheaper rent, and are less dependent on location and foot traffic for business. Food costs are a function of ingredients and menu diversity. The bigger the menu, the greater the variety of dishes to choose from, the wider range of price points a restaurant can offer, and the better chance a customer will find something that they like. But on the flip side, the more items on a menu, the more ingredients that must be sourced, and the higher the food costs. Fried chicken shops in comparison generally have very simple, concise, easy to understand, and predictable one-page menus. Beyond the chicken itself, fried chicken shops will typically offer low-cost, high-margin fried sides like French fries or pre-made sides like mac and cheese to round out their menu. They'll sometimes have a few salad or dessert options for balance. Modern fried chicken shops lean on their sauces and marinades for differentiation, and the core ingredients that make up 90% of the menu for fried chicken shops all around the world,
chili sauce that you love so much.
Yeah, but the fountain, you just put the chicken in there,
widely available, and stable in supply. While fried chicken shops can use just about every part of a chicken with little waste, restaurants who serve beef or pork generally can only use ground forms or premium cuts like ribs, chops, or ribeye. Since the customer interaction is so limited, fried chicken shops don't need a proper front of house and wait staff and servers. Some shops these days are so operationally lean that the person frying the chicken can be the same person who takes the order from the customer. For the back of the house, most shops fry in batches in advance of customer orders. And since nearly everything on the menu is fried, cooks just need to be trained on how to fry something. When it comes to cooking, fried chicken shops just need fryers, ovens, and warmers. In contrast, restaurants need ranges, flat tops, fryers, ovens, warmers, microwaves, steamers, salamanders, boilers, along with a space to operate such equipment. While the modern fried chicken shop has evolved to become smaller and leaner while offering better quality over the years, KFC has struggled to adapt. To set the stage, KFC is owned by Yum Brands, who also owns Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and the Habit Burger Grill in its portfolio.
I heard of the Habit.
It's the first time I hear about it.
Investment is never evenly distributed across all brands. Just like in a family with multiple kids, in every portfolio there's always a golden child, a brand that executives have the most hope for and consequently gets the most attention, prioritization, and investment. On the flip side, there are neglected brands who chug along with really minimal investment and attention. KFC for decades has been that golden child. In the past 10 years, KFC has made over double the amount of sales of Taco Bell and Pizza Hut combined.
Really?
KFC made over $30 billion in 2021 and single-handedly contributes
Probably
over
have more stores
50% of Yum Brands' annual revenue.
If I were a franchisee,
presentations,
I combine the
KFC is
three into
always
one
featured
restaurant.
or mentioned first. Knowing this, it would be unfair to attribute KFC's regression in America over the years as the result of underinvestment or a lack of care. On paper, KFC looks like a solid business. When we look at all the traditional metrics that a fast food chain would be evaluated by, KFC, by that definition, is successful. System sales, which are the dollar value of food and beverages sold at all KFCs in the United States and around the world with the exception of China, has increased year over year. KFC global system sales has grown 36% in 9 years, from $23 billion in 2013 to $31 billion in 2022. Just like McDonald's and other fast food corporations, KFC has moved away from being an operator and franchisor to becoming just a pure franchise.
That must be something in Japan.
By operating fewer stores, KFC gives up any sales upside in exchange for franchise fees, which are a lower but more stable form of reoccurring revenue. Franchise fees are made up of two components, the first being one-time, fixed, upfront payments that franchisees must pay upfront for the right to operate a store and whenever they renew or transfer those rights to someone else. These one-time fees range from thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. The second and more lucrative fee for KFC is the royalty. Every month, franchisees have to pay up 4 to 6% of their gross sales or a fixed minimum, whichever is greater. Under this pure franchisor strategy, KFC reduces its own overhead and places all the operating risk on its franchisees. In 2013, 9 out of every 10 KFC stores were franchised. As of 2022, 99% of all KFC stores around the world have been franchised. When nearly 10 out of every 10 customers are being served by a local operator, that means the customer experience and food quality of the KFC brand is almost entirely in the hands of its franchisees. If we put ourselves in the Colonel's shoes as the franchisor, while we can sit back and count our cash safely every month in our ivory tower, we have to maintain our relationships with our franchisees and maintain consumer demand so we can keep the royalties flowing in. The more stores we open, the more franchisees we get, and the more fees we can collect. The franchisor strategy is a volume play that works at scale, and it certainly helps that KFC is the second largest restaurant chain in the world and the global fried chicken leader, with over 25,000 restaurants in 145 countries. While KFC provides guidelines, sets the menu, runs the advertisements, and supplies everything from equipment, food and packaging, down to the furniture, cleaning supplies, utensils, and napkins, it's ultimately up to the franchisee on how they want to operate and execute. Franchisees can set their own prices, staff as many people or as few as they want, and establish their own hours of operation for each location. The relationship between a franchisor and its franchisees is always a testy one of power and control. Both sides need trust and support from each other in order to thrive. But when they don't get along, things can get nasty. And when 99% of stores are franchised like they are with KFC, the power dynamics naturally shift away from corporate and towards the favor of the franchisees. When we break down KFC's revenue over the years, we can see the powerful results from its franchisor strategy. Back in 2013, franchise fees accounted for 28% of revenue, while sales from locations that KFC directly operated accounted for 72% of revenue. By 2022, these two revenue streams have flipped, with franchise fees representing 56% of revenue and self-operated store sales accounting for 21%. This same inflection point can be seen when graphed by dollar value, where KFC franchise fees have grown from $800 million to $1.5 billion, and self-operated sales have decreased from $2 billion down to $600 million over the same time frame. In the same period, KFC's annual operating margin with less overhead has improved significantly, almost doubling from 23% to 42%. As KFC has opened and franchised more stores worldwide, food and beverage at franchise locations have also grown over the years. System sales at franchised KFCs have grown from $20 billion in 2013 to $30 billion in 2022. At the same time, KFC has successfully demanded a higher cut over the years from its franchisees. In 2013, a KFC franchise paid out on average 4%.
I was hoping to see more food.
Fast forward 9 years, and the average KFC franchise now pays out a little over 5%, which is a sign of brand and franchisor strength. Along the way, KFC has doubled its stores worldwide.
This is business strategies of today's companies.
In 2013 to over 26,000 locations in 2022.
Sorry, this is my fault. But like I said, I never seen it before.
Which is a measure of if and how
KFC
many
sells some
customers
chicken,
are
like,
coming back
yes,
to the
let's watch
restaurant
this.
every year, has also remained
like
steady,
sales.
averaging at 2% every year both before and during COVID. Cannibalization, saturation, and retention don't seem to be issues for the world's largest fried chicken shop. Yet the fundamental issue with most business analysis is that it's always historical, meaning only after something has
Are you
already
tired of it?
28 minutes.
happened do all
Huh?
the numbers,
Are you tired of watching it?
graphs, rationale,
Kind of.
commentary, and case studies get
Well,
made.
you're falling asleep on it
KFC's
too.
aforementioned
The
success,
reaction.
there are signs
Yeah.
that if we dig deep enough, that this is a company
My
that is
husband is
playing
just
its
one of
last
those
cards.
reaction with no reaction.
Instead of addressing the
Yeah.
Just like
declining
this.
consumer
Kinda like me too.
popularity, loyalty,
I
and
could do
sentiment in
a
America,
staring
KFC
stream.
these days looks overseas to replace the churn at home. The company focuses on international expansion while doing just the bare minimum domestically to stay
You see
relevant.
it? Garlic
The
butter
only
chicken.
viable strategy that KFC has is to leverage its brand
There you
equity
go.
in the
You just
areas of
mentioned
the world
food.
where it's still
Yeah.
worth
KFC
something.
breakfast?
And those places are overseas markets that its competitors haven't reached and where the Colonel's legacy remains intact. While KFC is happy to invest in localization, build beautiful international stores that have massive, comfortable dining areas that are designed to encourage consumers to stay as long as possible, and compete on quality by constantly releasing new and creative menu items, the company makes no effort to do the same in the United States. KFC stores in America are old, rundown buildings with inferior dining spaces that look cheap and feel uncomfortable. The menu is just as stale as ever before, and the food quality is getting worse.
That's bad.
KFC
really
is
bad.
a tale of two
Jeez.
businesses. A star chain with great food.
That's
and
how
service
McDonald's was.
around the
That's how I
world,
remember
and
McDonald's.
yet is an
Really?
inconsistent,
Yeah.
unpopular dying
I mean, you
brand
go,
in America.
like,
While
especially the one in
KFC
Walmart.
languishes in America, but
You go there,
thrives
they give you
overseas,
fries that are so
its
old.
executives don't seem to realize
just,
the
why did I
reality
pay
that
for this
success
crap?
from first mover advantage, legacy, and capital
Guys.
is always short-lived, especially in a high-growth food category like fried chicken, where it's no
If
longer
the
the brand that
workers at
dictates
McDonald's
quality.
did what they were supposed to
In the
do,
years leading up to 2015,
you gain so much
KFC in
more
America had hit rock
customer
bottom. Fried foods
satisfaction.
had
They'll
become
keep
coming back.
enemy number 2
you give them
behind
crap,
soda.
they're never
The
coming
company
back.
had just resolved a high-profile dispute with its franchisees over the
You
brand's
can't really
failed
blame
healthy
workers, though.
repositioning
You can't blame
and
workers.
grilled
They're the ones
chicken.
keeping the
can't
food
really,
while they're
you
supposed
can't
to.
really
Became
blame workers. You have to
confused,
blame
grilled chicken failed
the
to sell,
managers and
sales
owners,
plummeted,
especially the
and franchisees all
franchise,
rallied together
the
to stop what they saw as an
whatever
act of
the owners of
self-sabotage
franchise,
and to
telling
raise
them
the
not to
heat
do
on the
that way,
executive
into
team.
training them like that
Like
way in the
many
first
other
place.
fast food brands
They
in
always
the
have
early
a-
and mid-2010s,
A little
KFC
saying,
was caught in external
cook
identity
less
crisis
more often.
and internal strife,
And
attempting to keep the peace.
You know,
more
the Walmart
expensive.
McDonald's is
franchisees.
busy.
As
You
a
can still
result,
just put like
revenue,
1 or 2 orders of
system
fries in
sales,
there
and
at a
operating
time for
profit
the cook.
all
They'll
stagnated
wait.
between
If
2013
their food is
and
fresh, hot,
2015.
and
While the
delicious,
future looked uncertain
it's
at
worth the
home,
wait.
KFC continually told
Oh,
its investors that the company
you're the
had
one
two
who
main
works in them, so-
strategies.
Yeah.
One was to
Did
transition
you ever
to
work in KFC?
franchise-led growth,
No.
and 2 was to become the fried chicken leader in emerging international markets. Between 2013 to 2015, KFC in the US launched dud after dud, like the Colonel's original sandwich, which was just a boneless tender placed on a Hawaiian roll, the original recipe and Hot Shot Bites, which was just a cross between a nugget and a tender, KFC Go Cups to make it easier for people to eat in their cars, Bucket Kids Meal, which was just a repackaging of the kids meal into bucket form, and the Loaded Potato Bowl, which just added a different sauce and green onions on an existing core menu item. Unsurprisingly, these items failed to inspire sales, and KFC had no highlights to celebrate about its domestic operations during this 3-year stretch. Instead, executives focused on KFC's international success for 3 straight years, talking up its overseas achievements
looks
like
nice.
40% sales growth year over year in Russia and double-digit growth in Africa and Thailand. The thing is though, by 2015, 92% of KFCs in the world were already franchised, and Americans only accounted for 24% of KFC's sales. 70% of all KFC stores at this time were already located outside of the United States. So international expansion and franchise-led growth were not some new goals for KFC, these were initiatives that the company had already been doing for decades. To continuously restate the potential of overseas growth and the importance of international sales year over year just shows how little was going right for KFC in America. In 2016, KFC unveiled a grand turnaround plan that it called the rekernelization to win back customers at home in the United States. The company unveiled this plan at a major media event in New York City as a part of a
Yeah,
quote,
Senate Lab or
public
something?
recommitment to the standards set forth by founder Colonel Harlan Sanders. Coming off a string of viral, embarrassing incidents that had the American public openly
Oh my
questioning
God!
the reputation and standards of KFC, like mutant chickens and deep-fried rats, the company had decided that enough was enough.
Oh yeah.
In the eyes of KFC, its American franchisees had failed to live up to their end of the bargain.
The head
with
thing is
years
just
of
got me there.
neglect and sloppiness.
Yeah.
Perhaps it was corporate complacency,
I'm not even in the frame.
too much focus on international expansion over the domestic business, or laziness from franchisees, or potentially all of the above. Whatever the case was, it was obvious to everyone that KFC in America was and had been operating at below acceptable standards for years, and that had to change.
I wonder if McDonald's the
KFC
same thing.
wanted to get back to competing
that?
on quality
I wonder
as a
if
way to
McDonald's
make
did the
up for
same
all
thing
the
in
ground
America.
that it had lost to its national rivals in Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Raising Cane's, and even to regional challengers like Bojangles, Zaxby's, and Church's. KFC cracked the whip on its franchisees, using this public event as a way to restore food quality, operator discipline, and consumer
Looks like a
confidence.
funny commercial.
KFC temporarily shut down all their stores nationwide, created a mandatory chicken mastery certification program for its franchisees, and retrained all 20,000 of its operators on how to cook, quote, the way the Colonel intended, showing just how far and how wide the standards had fallen in America. These were highly publicized and aggressive steps that placed the blame of KFC's downfall on its operators, but KFC was just as much to blame for letting franchisees operate so poorly for so long in America. Yet KFC had its hands tied. There was only so much they could push before the franchisees would revolt like they did back in 2011. So to enforce this new focus on quality, KFC looked to the public to hold franchisees accountable with the new Colonel Quality Taste Guarantee. This new worldwide policy stated that anytime a customer was unsatisfied with their meal, that KFC store, and by extension, that franchisee, would have to remake that portion out of their own pocket. As part of the plan, KFC also committed to renovating its stores in the US into American showrooms, sleek, modern, eye-catching, bright red and white striped exteriors with vintage interiors. When it came to marketing, the company went back to its tried and trusted roots, relying once again on legacy and nostalgia, bringing back the Colonel as the mascot along with the always original
took
and
him out?
finger-licking good campaigns. The reintroduction of the $5 fill-up boxes and $20 family buckets were commercial successes, reinforcing value in the mind of consumers. KFC is not better than Chick-fil-A or Popeyes, but it's a lot cheaper and more bang for your buck. The wins continued for KFC throughout 2016 with the launch of Nashville Hot and Georgia Gold. These new menu items were not only significant in breathing new life into the brand, but also in their design and symbolism. These new flavors and dishes were a major departure from the iconic 11 herbs and
Kentucky Gold.
spices that
That's what it's
KFC had
called
conservatively clung onto
Freaking
throughout
amazing
its
sauce.
existence.
Yeah, I see.
This newfound momentum in the United States and the continued international success in emerging markets propelled KFC to new records in 2016. Same-store sales grew to 3% in 2016, and the KFC US business surged back to $5.5 billion in gross sales. But this would turn out to be no more than a one-year wonder. Hidden behind these top-line successes is that in the United States, KFC had been closing over 100 stores every year for nearly a decade. While the new offerings and stronger marketing had improved the overall brand, there was just never enough demand to go around. KFC stores were shuttering, and the local demand for fried chicken in America was continually and swiftly replaced with Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, and other independent shops. Yet in 2017, KFC had reason to be optimistic about its US business based on 2016. The company believed that it had finally cleaned up its act and could now compete on quality with its rivals as a
Actually,
trendsetter.
good.
With high hopes, KFC launched their original hand-breaded Zinger sandwich with the ambition of conquering the chicken sandwich category. KFC spared no expense in marketing the Zinger, literally launching the sandwich into space and auctioning off a 400-year-old meteorite for virality. While the Zinger was an international hit, it failed to catch on with
I want
Americans.
that meteorite.
Company executives were probably crushed 2 years later when Popeyes came out with its own chicken sandwich in 2019, and that turned into the mainstream hit that KFC had so desperately hoped the Zinger would be. At the same time, KFC's international business continued to overperform in emerging markets like Brazil, where KFC grew an astounding 18% in same-store sales. In Russia, where KFC opened 1,000 new stores in a single year, they experienced 33% sales growth year over year. And at this point in 2017, KFC's international business already accounted for nearly 90% of the company's profits, and the US business was already well on its way to becoming an afterthought. The United States, which historically contributed the most and nearly a quarter of KFC's overall sales up to 2016, had actually devalued over time, dropping as low as 16% by 2019. Sales from KFCs in the US have steadily declined from $5.6 billion in 2014 to as low as $4.4 billion by 2018, long before COVID. The problems of KFC's US business are continually masked and overshadowed by KFC's international success, which skews not only the company's top line, but also the bottom line and the traditional metrics that we covered earlier. Yet KFC's leaders to this day proudly proclaim mission accomplished and that the KFC turnaround in the United States is a complete success. Predictably, the executives who came up with the rekernelization plan in 2016 have used its success to leapfrog up the corporate ladder. One is now the CEO of Chili's, and the other became the CEO of Carl's Jr. before moving into tech. Sometime between 2017 and 2019, KFC executives must have gone over these same numbers and arrived at an obvious decision to cut losses and quietly deprioritize the US business. While KFC continued to try its hand at menu innovation for Americans with the pickle fried chicken, the crispy kernel sandwich, Smoky Mountain barbecue, chicken and waffles, mac and cheese bowls, and Cinnabon biscuits, this tactic feels similar to Taco Bell's playbook, who regularly releases limited time offerings with very small quantities as a way to build up hype, but more importantly to juice demand and energize sales for stores on a regular basis. In contrast, the products that KFC introduces for its international customers are regularly celebrated for their commercial success and become a core part of the menu. In Japan, it's the peri peri chicken. In Australia, it's the popcorn chicken slab, or the Crunch Double Down and Wrap Star lunchbox in Africa.
Looks nice.
When KFC executives talk about the US business these days, quality is not mentioned anywhere, and there's only one strategy: value. Add more options into the $5 fill-up and $20 family meals. Introduce an a la carte menu where consumers can now mix and match 2 sides for $6. Throw in an add-on where Americans can get 12 tenders for just $10 more on a $20 family meal. Blasting advertisements constantly on social media, reminding people how cheap KFC is. Releasing gimmicky marketing stunts, more outlandish and crazy than the last for virality and clicks, but have nothing to do with the
visual
product
novel
or brand. The goal for KFC in the United States nowadays is to offer consumers, in the words of the CEO, quote, a truly incredible value with enough food to feed a family.
I know, but what is this? This is ad for KFC?
KFC is a powerful demonstration of how legacy and brand power is a double-edged sword that is as a curse as it is a blessing in the world of business. It's KFC's legacy that has fueled the company's international success and appeal in emerging markets, where the kernel is the first taste of American
pastry
fried
looks
chicken
like the Portuguese,
that those people get. With its first mover advantage in war chest, KFC is able to reach customers in markets today that its competitors simply can't, and to win those customers through first impression, even if KFC's rivals have a much better product. What KFC is betting on these days is that when Popeyes or Chick-fil-A eventually scale to those markets one day, that hopefully by then, consumers will have become too accustomed for KFC's to prefer anyone else's fried chicken. KFC knows that its legacy and brand power in America is on its last legs, and any attempt to wrestle back domestic market share from its rivals would be futile, especially when customers know that KFC cannot compete on quality. The pure franchisor play that has fueled so much of KFC's expansion domestically and internationally, has also fueled their profits and dominance in prior decades, is now a hindrance to the kernel's evolution. Rather than downsizing the stores to become more efficient like modern fried chicken shops, KFC is stuck with its franchisees and can only remodel its existing properties in place to make them grander but not leaner. Its new modern concepts only apply to new constructions and not existing stores. Rather than experimenting with sauces, marinades, and batters to match the changing consumer taste, KFC is forced to constrain its creativity and preserve its legacy by keeping to the iconic 11 herbs and spices as its core flavor, which Americans these days have simply become tired of. And there's a case to be made that those international emerging markets where people love KFC, that over the decades, they will begin to also tune their own taste and potentially prefer other brands. In business, one expects companies to dominate their backyard first, viciously defend it from new competitors and entrants, and then chip away at international markets over time. It's rare to find a company like KFC who relies so heavily on international expansion to replenish a shrinking domestic market share. There is great irony that the United States, which has the greatest fried chicken consumption and serves as the birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken, is now KFC's weakest market with the most competition and lowest ceiling. As an American who grew up pigging out on buckets of KFC, it's sad to see the kernel regress to a discount volume brand.
Crunch chicken.
Businesses like humans must adapt or die. For KFC in America, adaptation came too little, too late.
Okay, that was not what I was expecting it.
No! I wanted to see more food.
Yeah, but the title says Fried Chicken Wars, the Fall of KFC in America.
Yeah.
So it's just that's what happens. It's well, we have to finish. So, yeah, okay. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.
What'd you think about that video? Was it a snoozer?
It was for Eric anyway. And you see Eric next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Bye.